Welcome to Frankly, My Dear, the podcast that explores just how bananas things were in classic Hollywood. Classic Hollywood was wholesome, right? People talk about the films with such nostalgia and wish for those days back. But what I find more interesting is the seedy underbelly, the backstory, the movie trivia, the backdrop of those films and what went on behind the scenes. These were real people. They had their own stories. They soldiered on to create these films that you so love, and I appreciate even more now by knowing their lives and struggles. So join me as we uncover the mystery and peel back the velvet curtain of classic Hollywood to not just highlight the scandals, but the triumphs of these film giants. Thank you for joining me. I have a guest today. Her name is Melissa Woodscourt. She is also an author. Today we are going to be talking about one of her favorites, and she got her shirt, so that's exciting. Cary Grant. So super debonair, super suave, one of the best looking guys in classic Hollywood. I always find it interesting that he was also an acrobat and had like the most like weirdest name to begin with. So Archibald Leach is kind of like a cringeworthy name. So I feel like that was a good decision with him. They're not always that bad when they change their names, but that one, like Leach, is just abrasive. So the other thing that you have accomplished that I have not, she has seen every single Cary Grant movie, right? So tell me a little bit about that and what prompted you to do that.
Yeah. So when I was in my late teen years, I'd grown up on classic Hollywood. I just kind of took it for granted because it was just always part of my life because my parents introduced us when I was quite young. But I, like if it was black and white, honestly, I was kind of bored. I just sort of wander off, as most kids probably do. So I just, there were a few I liked, but it was kind of hit or miss. And then one day I ended up watching all of The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant, and I loved his characterization so much, just the presence he brought to the character and the charm and the wit and the charisma that I was like, wait a second, he just caught my attention. And I realized that there was like, this wasn't actually boring. So I decided to kind of go from there. And because that was Christmas that year, his birthday was celebrated on Turner Classic Movies in January. And so they did a full day of feature films for him from the different eras. And so I watched several of them. I had seen a few, Charade and Arsenic and Old Lace and things like that. But I really sat down and got to watch some of his early 30s films, like Gambling Ship and things like that. And I was just like, okay, this guy is really dynamic. He's really diverse. He can do comedy. He can do serious. He's really talented. And so I just started going on a journey, and it has taken me about 20 years, give or take, to get through all 72 films, because some of them are harder to find than others.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
But I finally completed it in, I guess it was last month, like finally watched the last few. And what a journey. It's been a privilege.
That's so fun. I think the person that I've seen the most of would be Judy Garland. So I think there's only a couple there that I haven't seen. Like there's some weird cartoon one, I think, and then something else. But yeah, so a similar thing. They're just so talented, and it's so interesting to see everything that they've done because some of the roles are quite different. Or I've noticed with Cary Grant sometimes too, like his character shifts a little bit, especially in some of like the Hitchcock stuff.
Yes.
You don't really know what he's doing, which is interesting. I think for me, I think the first one I had seen was Bringing Up Baby. So I love that one. And my kids like that one too, even though it's black and white. Cause sometimes they used to have a thing with that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then I was just remembering too, like growing up, they used to put movies on Sunday afternoon on network TV, and they colorized it once. And I was like, this is so weird. I hate when they do that because it looks like crap. Oh my gosh. But that was my introduction to him, I think. And there's a leopard and like just the whole animal aspect of it. My kids liked too. Similar thing with Monkey Business because of the monkeys. So Yeah. But if we want to start way back, I find it funny that Mae West liked to credit herself with discovering him. Because she picked him for She Done Him Wrong and was like, I totally discovered it. But he'd done like a handful of movies before that, but that was probably like his first like bigger role, I think.
It's definitely one of the first, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was just interesting because she is such a strong personality, and that's kind of what I love about her, but he still was able to like hold his own more than some of her other leading men, I think. So that was a really interesting dynamic then too. And they did She Done Him Wrong and I'm No Angel. And I feel like just he went up from those really
fast. That was like, light the rocket and set it into the sky. I mean, he had a presence before that, but I also feel like there were a few stereotypes from the 30s that he kind of fell into before that. He was very much the almost villainous playboy who didn't actually usually get the girl until he became the leading man. And I think that's probably where Mae West really helped him just propel him into the leading man. Because like he played one of his earliest roles had Gary Cooper as the lead, whereas Cary Grant was just in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
As, just sort of the side character that was actually kind of a little bit misunderstood. Like, it's fascinating to just watch that shift as he found his element. Like, because at first he was just sort of, and you could tell when he was really into a role and when he wasn't.
Oh, sure. I find those really interesting. You have a lot of celebrities too. Like, it's like, oh, they advertise it as this person's movie and they don't come in till like halfway through and they have like a couple of lines. Yes. I find that interesting. See, now I'm jumping around, but with like Monkey Business, for instance, they put Marilyn on the cover and I'm like, it's not her movie. That is Cary Grant and Ginger Rogers' movie. Like, she's in it and she has her look, but
she's great.
That's not hers.
Yeah. I mean, I loved Ginger Rogers and her going up against each other. That was hilarious. And Ginger Rogers is actually one of my favorites. So Monkey Business is one of my favorites. They're fun. They're all really fun in that way.
They are so much fun and they're just so silly and it's just such a funny movie. And it's just interesting to see Ginger Rogers a little bit older too. She doesn't look old, but like she's older than when she did stuff with Fred Astaire, right? She's like 40, but she's just so cute. And like she just still like does her little dance steps and it's just I just love that movie so much. It's so funny.
What I love is I rewatched it recently. I'd seen Monkey Business quite a long time ago. I've probably seen it about 4, 5, 6 times. I don't know. It's one of my favorites, so I've seen it several times. Yeah. And but rewatching it recently, I was just impressed with the physical comedy, and I was like, it's no wonder they got Cary Grant and Ginger Rogers, because who else in their 40s and 50s could do what these two have to do with the premise? And like where Ginger Rogers balances the glass on her head and just like,
oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And then folds back up, and I'm like, I would die if I tried to do that.
Right. Just the strength and body control she must have still had to be able to do that. Doesn't he do a cartwheel too? Like he's just, just from his acrobatic days, he's just still all strong and stuff.
Yes.
That's just a fun movie. He's funny and just, the physical comedy is great. And there are monkeys. So, and it's an interesting take too about, like getting older or whatever. Cause then in the end, they kind of come back to the lesson of like just living or something. I can't remember now,
you're
but
only as old as you think. That kind of,
yeah.
Well, what I love, when I was rewatching it, I was watching it with my sister, and she had turned to me and she was like, wow, relationship goals. Like the patience and the affection that they have for each other is so adorable.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So cute. And Marilyn's kind of fun in that movie too. Not a big part, but she's part of his like youth piece of it where they go roller skating and diving and just all this like show-offy stuff he's trying to do because he thinks he's 20 or whatever.
Yes.
But she is just kind of there for the eye candy for that one.
Yeah, very much.
And for Ginger Rogers to get mad.
Yes. use her,
Yes.
what do you call an elastic band? Get her.
Slingshot.
Slingshot, yes.
Yep. So that's super fun. I think, yeah, Cary Grant did comedy really well. Maybe we'll organize that way. So the other comedic one, Arsenic and Old Lace. I love that movie.
Yes.
He didn't.
I know he didn't. But it's so timeless, and I'm like, thank you for doing it despite the fact that you thought Jimmy Stewart would be a better fit.
I know, he said that too. And he thought he was over the top and he couldn't watch it. Apparently, the director, Frank Capra, was going to go back and reshoot some scenes, but then Pearl Harbor happened and I don't know if he went into the war. He did something with the military at that point and they just didn't have time to do it. But I think his over the topness and his like noises that he makes and his facial expressions really are what make that movie, because he's so funny. But then you have this backdrop of murder, but it's still just funny. It's just a funny movie.
Dark humor, but it's like so wholesome at the same time. It's so weird. And can I like shout out to Priscilla Lane, who is
she's so cute too. Yeah. Oh, I love her. I haven't really seen her in anything else. I know she did she did a Hitchcock movie called Saboteur that I would like to watch, but I haven't gotten that far yet. But this was really her last major release, which I find surprising. Like she did like a couple after that, but it wasn't as big of a deal. But she's just adorable too. Like I don't know why she didn't do more stuff if something happened there, or she just
I know. I saw her in another film it was before Arsenic and Old Lace, I'm pretty sure, called The Four Sisters, and there's the Frank Sinatra Doris Day remake, Young at Heart, is based on The Four Sisters.
And okay. I've seen Young at Heart, but not the other one.
Yes. Yeah. And I actually prefer the one with Priscilla Lane. It's got Claude Rains in it, as well as two of her other sisters, two other Lane sisters. So recommend.
Okay. Yeah, I have to see her in other stuff because I just love her in that. She's just so fun. And that scene at the beginning with them in the tree and they're chasing each other, apparently they toned that down a little bit because there was like too much sexual tension. I don't know. So, but they're still like real cute and like newlyweddy and all like chasing each other. It's so cute.
It's so adorable.
Yeah.
And the one-liners in that film are phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah, it's so great.
It is.
And especially Josephine Hull, one of the aunts, she's just adorable too. Like she goes in, like she's just bouncing around all the time.
And the music plays if she's doing it.
Yeah. And they're just so like, yeah, we're doing this, and just like so like nonchalant about it, and it just contrasts what you see of them. It's so funny. I think Josephine Hull definitely has like a bigger screen presence than the other one, but she was in the play too. I think, or both of them? Were both of them in the play?
I think they were both in it. I think.
And then they wouldn't let Boris Karloff out of his contract to come do the movie, and I'm like, that seems unfair.
No. I would have loved to see it with Boris Karloff. I'm not going to lie. That would have been great.
I think Raymond Massey does a good job, and it is kind of funny that they keep like making jokes about how he looks like Boris Karloff because of like the makeup and because that's who originated the role or whatever. But
yeah, it's a great way of kind of tipping the hat and breaking the fourth wall at the same time.
Right. Hey, we know this guy played this too, but he's not here. Well, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so funny. Apparently, too, Frank Capra originally wanted Bob Hope to play Cary Grant's role, which Bob Hope is funny, but it wouldn't have been the same kind of funny, I don't think. But no. Paramount wouldn't let him out of his contract to do it. They wouldn't loan him out, which seems to be a common theme when I look into classic movies, that it's like, oh, these people were considered, but the studio wouldn't let them do it. It seems to be
it is
just a thing.
They were very, very jealous of their own,
They owned who they owned, and sometimes they traded, I guess, but not here.
Nope. And I for one am grateful. I think Cary Grant owned the role despite his own sensitivities to it. Right. So I personally, I like Bob Hope, but I love Cary Grant.
Yeah. And it just wouldn't have been the same. They also offered it to Ronald Reagan and Jack Benny. Which I haven't seen a ton of Ronald Reagan stuff because you always think of him as a president, but yes, he was an actor for a while.
Yeah,
But I don't
personally,
know.
I think he is not the most skilled actor.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I admire him, but I feel like he was not. He was a little wooden.
Yeah, that makes sense. I said I haven't seen him in much. Like he was a handsome dude, so that's
Yeah,
probably why he got in
yeah.
originally. But yeah, neither one of them went to do that. And then I found it interesting too. Apparently, Frank Capra really identified with Mortimer because he had an older brother, like the same kind of guy, like who abused him as a kid and like ended up being a criminal. And I'm like, yikes, so much drama.
Right? Yeah, you always tend to think of those old Hollywood films and everything as this wholesome era and all that because of like the Hays Code and things like that. But there really is a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and it can
Yeah.
hit pretty hard. It was
Well,
real
and
life.
that's kind of why I named this. So frankly, my dear classic Hollywood was bananas because I'm talking about like their actual lives. Because
Yes.
yes, I feel like, and I've talked about this before, but it feels like people look at the Hays Code production code era under like this nostalgic lens and that it was wholesome and all this stuff. Like I see these weird like memes about how, oh, when stars were classy and dressed well and had morals and like that kind of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, everybody's sleeping with everybody and everybody, like they had publicists to clean up their messes. That's why it seems that way too.
Exactly. Well, you
They
think
were
about
still all being crazy.
exactly. You think about the fact that they would have them change their names, and it's like how Cary Grant said, "Everybody wants to be Cary Grant. Even I want to be Cary Grant," because it was a
Yeah,
persona, a very
right.
carefully crafted persona. He was Archie Leach,
Yeah,
but he, I think he became more Cary Grant as it went along, as he could make it more his own as he wore that skin long enough. But
yeah.
it really was Hollywood just keeping their images squeaky clean. There were, like Loretta Young hiding this relationship she had and the child and
The love
like
child. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like they had real lives, they had real problems, they had real
Hmm.
situations, and it was an era where they weren't allowed to talk about that.
Right.
And so it must have been very tricky to balance it.
Right. Well, and I was talking to a different guest about this too, because now you have like the franchises, so they're selling the franchise. At this time, they were selling the personas and the actors,
Exactly.
um, which is probably why a lot of them ended up getting typecast too, because it was like if you like this movie with them, then you're gonna like this other movie.
Yeah.
Because I find it interesting. There's so many that I look into, and it comes up about how they really wanted to do this other kind of movie, and maybe they did one, and then they didn't get to do any more like that.
Right.
Like Elvis wanted to do other stuff. Oh my gosh, my kids are being loud. Um, what was the other one? Marilyn? So she did like a film noir called Don't Bother to Knock early on in her career that was
Mhm.
phenomenal,
Yeah.
but then the persona kind of took over everything and she didn't really get to do other stuff. Like Niagara is kind of like that middle ground, I think, because she has
Yes.
that bombshell look, but she's a little crazy and trying to off her husband.
She was
But
phenomenal in that.
yes, those two were just great.
Yeah.
I'm getting off topic. It happens. So we were talking
Yes.
about Arsenic and Old Lace. Yeah, that one's really fun. I like to watch that one every year because that to me that's a great Halloween movie.
Oh
Hi,
yeah.
Kitty.
It's hi. She's like, it's all about me now. Stop talking about Carrie. Yeah,
Oh,
our stick and
that's
always is a tradition for me as well. So at Halloween,
yeah,
it's perfect. The vibes, everything. I've never found anything to like quite match it.
right. Oh, we were talking about different comedies. So we talked about Bringing Up Baby a little bit. That's another great comedic role for him.
I love that one.
Um,
The
yeah.
screwball comedy is so fun.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's still like over the top a little bit. And that too was the first movie where like he ad-libbed that I just turned gay all of the sudden, and that was the first time that they used it in that context, even though like it was like a slang thing earlier, but that's the first time it was on film. And that's just a great scene with him and the robe and the whole thing, and it's just so funny. Apparently I recently learned that so Christopher Reeve, when he played Superman, based his Clark Kent on Cary Grant's character in Bringing Up Baby. So I was like, oh, I need to watch the Superman again, because I'm like, that's smart. And the glasses and everything.
Yeah, I can so see that. That's marvelous.
Right? It's so funny when you find stuff like that. I guess this was Katharine Hepburn's first comedic role too, and she was like super bad at it initially, which is interesting because she went on to do a lot of comedy, or a good amount of comedy. They brought in like a vaudevillian coach and stuff for her, and then she got better. But Cary Grant was kind of already able to do the comedic stuff, even though he hated the leopard. He didn't want to be anywhere near the leopard.
That would be a little bit nerve-wracking, let's be honest.
Right? Well, and like Katharine Hepburn also almost got like attacked by the leopard at one point too, and the trainer was able to diffuse that situation. But I'm like, yeah, you gotta be careful with animals.
No kidding. The dog was not dangerous. They had to chase
right? The cute dog. Oh my gosh. Well, and then you see those, like, I don't know. Sometimes in old movies you see stuff like that though, where it's like a dog and then like a wild animal, and you're like, is this the smartest idea right here, guys? Someone's gonna get hurt or eaten. Like, because don't they wrestle or something at one point, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It made me very nervous during this. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I hope that was like one take and they never had to try to redo that.
Yeah. Because you worry for the dog, because he's little. Would not make it. Oh my gosh. Oh. And I guess too, before Bringing Up Baby, Cary Grant was worried that he was gonna fail, basically, right? Because he hadn't had like a huge hit, and he was 34, and there were other guys younger than him that were already major stars, like Errol Flynn, Jimmy Stewart. Like they had already like established themselves, so he was concerned.
Yeah, and yet he is ranked second best leading man from the golden age of Hollywood. He had nothing to worry about. He was just coming into his own at that point.
Right, just had to keep going.
Even when he retired, they were like, I don't know why he retired. He could have kept going. And I was just like, he just knew he was done. Like, and that's actually very admirable rather than continuing and getting stuck in the horror films.
Right. Well, and too, before To Catch a Thief, he had retired, and then they lured him back. Yeah. So they try to retire, and then they're like, but come do this thing, and then they come back. Similar thing happened with Fred Astaire, too. He was retired, and then they pulled him back in for Easter Parade with Judy Garland because Gene Kelly got hurt. So he's like, okay. And then they were just back then for a while. Yeah. After they retire. Oh my gosh, it's funny. I rewatched The Philadelphia Story. So here's my thing with The Philadelphia Story. I hadn't watched it that many times, and it had been a long time. And the thing is, I am a big Frank Sinatra fan. So I really love High Society, which is the musical version of The Philadelphia Story. But people will be like, that's not the better movie. Like, there's a whole thing around it. Yes. But they both have their merits, because I do, like, my introduction to classic movies were musicals. So that's another piece of it. And then I got more into some of the screwball comedies and like the film noir and that kind of thing. But I've seen High Society way more times than The Philadelphia Story. So I'm like, okay, we gotta go back and watch The Philadelphia Story, because it had been too long. They both stand on their own merit, I think. Yeah. Because I mean, High Society, you have the combination of Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra, which I feel like is a big deal. But going back to The Philadelphia Story, it was really interesting to me, and I really noticed especially how Katharine Hepburn's character evolved throughout the movie. That was more dramatic than Grace Kelly when she tried to do that, I think.
Yeah.
Because Katharine Hepburn was like way more abrasive at the beginning. Grace Kelly kind of tried to be, but it wasn't, I don't know, it didn't feel the same to me.
It didn't. I felt like Catherine's characterization, her arc was a lot more believable, a lot more dynamic than Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly is a great actress, but the role was made for Katharine Hepburn, you know, to kind of bring her back after she became box office poison.
Yeah.
And you know how Cary Grant shoves her so that people can see that she's human, knocked her on backwards to humanize her. And I think that this was a very important role to humanize her. It was well structured for her.
Yeah. Because you definitely have like the cold goddess thing at the beginning, and she's pretty unlikable at the beginning of the movie.
She is.
And Cary Grant is a little bit too, I'm gonna say, because you don't know quite what he's doing with the whole like spy magazine thing initially. You're like, why? Because that's not the same in High Society. That doesn't go that way.
Yeah.
They don't have that subplot where he's involved in the photographer and writer coming to the wedding. But he does those roles so well too, like where he seems kind of sinister and you don't really know what he's doing. And then you learn throughout the movie. And I came to appreciate, it was good that I rewatched it because I came to appreciate it again, because I think I just hadn't revisited it in so long, and I'm so used to the musical version, which is not usually the way people go with that. And then Jimmy Stewart is just adorable, and I can't help but love him. He's so funny.
It's one of his best roles too.
Yeah. Really, and he thought he was miscast too. And didn't deserve his Oscar. Apparently he won an Oscar for this, right? So he thought that Henry Fonda, because Henry Fonda was nominated for The Grapes of Wrath, which is a great movie. Very impressive role for him. But yeah, James Stewart thought that Henry Fonda should have won instead. And then he's like, maybe they gave it to me because they didn't give it to me for Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Because that seems to be a thing with Oscars too. Like, people get nominated for one thing, don't win for that, and then end up winning for something that isn't as good.
But and I do think he should have won for Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I really did. Well deserved. But I'm glad he got one for this because it's also a great role for him.
Yeah. And I mentioned to you earlier, like, just his whole like drunk persona that he does, he's just so funny. It's so well done. Yeah. And then he improvised the hiccups, so that's pretty funny. And then too, I think that scene where he goes to see Dexter and kind of helps humanize Dexter a little bit too, because before that he's kind of cold and he's kind of like standoffish a bit, and you don't quite know his intentions with things. But that scene I think was very good at trying to show more of his character than we had seen so far in the movie too. Yes,
I agree. It was that one's one of my favorites. I've watched it more times than I can count. So it's been a long time since I've actually watched High Society. It's been probably about 10 years. So I want to watch that one as well again, because I've seen it several times, but it's been a bit. I like to actually space them because I don't necessarily, I like to, like you said, they each stand on their own merits. I don't like to watch them in close succession so that I diminish one over the other.
Right. So. And compare them too much.
Exactly.
Well, and then High Society is interesting too, because you have the addition of Louis Armstrong, which is pretty fun. And then Bing Crosby and Louis Armstrong do a duet too.
Oh yeah. Well, and Bing Crosby, like he's my favorite like singing voice ever. So I love his films, and his charisma is great too. But I won't go down that trail too far today.
It's just a different movie. I have a poster from that one. It's right here.
Noting that, I was like, oh, we're going to talk about Philadelphia Story. Sorry, High Society.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. Yeah. I try not. Well, I was comparing, but it helps because, again, as I said, like, they're just not the same movie. Like, it's similar, but there are different nuances.
It's two different eras, too. You know, like the cultures and everything are just different. The slang is different. The story structure has to be changed just a little bit because one is in the 40s and one is in the 50s, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just different.
Yeah. And then So we have Cary Grant's like comedic stuff. Oh, and I didn't have this in the list, but I also love Topper. I saw that in the last year or so, and that was so funny. I like that one a lot.
That one's great.
Yeah. And they're sort of special effects that they do. But
it's pretty fun to see those old special effects like that.
Yeah.
They had to be because they didn't have a mouse to click,
Right. Oh, for sure. I love looking at old stuff. Like they had to do like either better costuming or like forced perspective with some other stuff. Like Darby O'Gill and the Little People is a good example of forced perspective.
Yeah.
The special effects in there are really good, except for when he picks up King Brian and puts him in the bag. It's a doll. But other than that, and it just seems like too, like they just had to be more creative too. Or you look at like even like the 80s and like Jim Henson stuff, like they had to actually make things and make costumes, and that is so much more impressive than CG.
I agree. I love the practical effects. I will always value that so much more.
Yeah. And it's just interesting to find out about how they did that without computers, given the age that we're in, So any other comedies that you can think of that you'd like to talk about?
Oh,
I don't know.
It's hard when there are 72 films.
Right. I think we hit the big comedies at least.
I think we did. I mean, there was like, His Girl Friday that had some comedic elements.
Yeah.
I enjoy the, quick rapid fire exchange in that one. I've got my list up just because I like to know what I'm talking about.
Right. I know. I'm scrolling the list too. But if not, we can move on to Hitchcock because there's quite a bit to talk about there.
Oh, that is very, very true.
I actually just talked to somebody else about Suspicion too. I've seen that one. I had seen it before and then I revisited it. It had been a while, but I remember really liking that one. And again, he didn't. Apparently, Hitchcock was giving too much attention to Joan Fontaine and Cary Grant felt left out or something. I don't know. So he didn't love that, but that's a really interesting movie. Because again, like you go into it and you don't know what he's lying about or like if the wife is a reliable narrator or not, or what's really happening. And then you have that scene where literally they show us him pushing Beaky off the cliff. So then that's in your head and you're like, wait, is that what's happening or did he not?
That was wild. That was such a wild, like, cutoff.
I know. That it actually shows you that. I'm like, oh, so we're supposed to think that he's super bad. Okay.
Yeah.
I find the beginning of that movie interesting too, because she's a bit obsessive. Like they meet and then he's gone and she's like trying to find him and she gets like real intense about it there for a bit. And then she does find him and then she doesn't know if she should be with him because he has gambling problems and she thinks he's a murderer and things. It's wild too because apparently they told Hitchcock to cut out any scenes where Cary Grant looked menacing and it cut it to 55 minutes and then they let him add it back in because there was a thing about, they don't want Cary Grant to be the murderer. So like they changed the ending too because it was based on a book. And in the book, he killed her dad and Beaky and poisoned her with the milk thing. That milk scene, by the way, is super cool because they lit the milk. But sorry, I'm rambling now. So what are your thoughts on Suspicion? Apparently I have some.
I love it. No, that one is really fun for me because it's kind of like Cary Grant became known, first of all, as the leading man who women would kind of fixate on later on. It didn't start that way in the 30s, but it became like, you think about Audrey Hepburn and Charade. You think like it became where the woman had to pursue him. That was what was kind of like his signature, right? So this is kind of an earlier.
Sorry, can I just interject? With Charade, he wanted them to flip it because he felt, I'm going to use the word creepy, but it didn't feel right to him to be the one pursuing her because she was so much younger. So anyway, go ahead.
No, and it's true. And I actually really respected him when I found that out. I was just like, yeah, go Cary. Because
Yeah.
You know, the age gap at that time in the 50s and 60s was a little questionable sometimes, but but so yeah, like what I liked about this is actually how they changed it from the book, where
Mm-hmm.
he is under this, there is this suspicion, and he's actually he's actually a rather pathetic character. When it comes down to it, he's quite a pathetic character who's
He's pretty
addicted to
weak.
gambling. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he is. And what I love is that Cary Grant can still be sympathizable, even as you're just like either despicable or you're just like pathetic. And
Yeah.
it's a rare actor who can take a role like that and still make it a successful movie, and b him still a character that you do sympathize with, that you do like. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, props to Joan Fontaine also, because she and he were really great together. I really like their chemistry. And they were both kind of pathetic in their way, so they did match, you know.
Yeah.
And yet they were better together.
Yeah.
Even as things started to break down through the movie.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and Joan Fontaine kind of played more like mousy characters a bit too. I recently watched Rebecca, similar thing. Like she just seems like a scared little mouse all the time. But that was kind of what she got cast as. Yeah. Which was in great contrast to her sister too, who got like the stronger roles. But
yes. Yeah. It blew my mind when I found out years ago that they were sisters. I was like, what? And then I was like, you know what? I can actually see it.
Yeah. Once you know.
Yes, once you know.
Yeah, Joan changed her last name because that de Havilland is quite a mouthful. So, and they like hated each other apparently. So I mean, there's a whole feud in this whole thing. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I can imagine how ugly that would be, especially if one sister was like doing better that year in the movies or winning the award or whatever. That would be rough as siblings if you're both in this competitive star, you know, search to become a star and build yourself up.
Right. The competition. Too bad they couldn't have helped each other instead, but you know.
It's a bit cutthroat.
Right. A little bit. So yeah, I really like Suspicion. I think that one's really well done. And then the whole scene at the end where like she thinks he's gonna push her out of the car.
Yes.
And he's like, I was just trying to help you.
Yes. I love how also reading that book that's like making her like more paranoid.
Oh yeah. And then at the end too, you don't really know what's gonna happen after that, because I mean in the book he kills her, but in the movie he was gonna kill himself. Mm-hmm. But then they turn around, so you think it's going to be a happy thing, but he still has debt. He still is like depressed or whatever because he was going to use this. He still knows what the untraceable poison is. Like there's still like unanswered questions there at the end.
I did like his open endings. You know, you think about the bird and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
There are always questions at the end of a Hitchcock film.
Right. On purpose, yeah. The other one that I really love was Notorious. I think Notorious is stellar. And it was interesting for me when I first saw that, it threw me because Cary Grant's character, like he's so cold. And I'm like, I thought I was supposed to like him and he's supposed to be charming, and wait a second. Because he's just so cold in that movie. It's just, it hit me like way differently than some of his other stuff.
Oh yeah, no, that's one of my favorites of him because it shows that range of acting that he has, and and I love Cary Grant. I love Ingrid Bergman. She's one of my favorites, and I love Claude Rains. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You get the three of them together, and it's like the perfect trifecta for me. I love the setting of that. I love what she has to get herself into to assist, how far she's willing to go. Because she loves Cary Grant, so she'll do it, you know, and yet it's putting this wedge between them. That's actually one of my favorites. Very, very favorites. Just like of just old movies, not just Cary Grant films, because of just how it all comes together. I got to share it with my sister recently. She'd never seen it before. And she was just like, oh my gosh, I've never seen Cary Grant in a role like that.
Yeah, it's so different. for
Yeah.
him.
And
But
she
also
doesn't,
not, because he does have some roles like that where it's like this weird ambiguity, but I
yeah.
don't know. As I said, the first time I saw it, it like really struck me with how he was with her initially.
Yeah.
Like,
And
wow,
it's
he's like
actually,
real mean.
yeah, well, and it's actually a callback to some of his earlier films from the 30s, like when he
Mm,
did Gambling Ship in, what was it, 1933, 4, something, I can't remember.
okay.
And like he's actually pretty cold in that one too.
Oh,
And so it kind of throws it back into that old 30s era that he was in a little bit more. And so that was actually a really fun callback for me, because Gambling Ship is one of the first films I saw on his birthday when TCM was running his movies. That was one of the first films I saw of him when I was actually looking into his characterization.
oh, sure. Yeah, and just so different. But yeah, one
Yeah.
of my favorites too. I did find it funny. Apparently Claude Rains had lifts, but then they put him up on a box too, because Ingrid Bergman was, I don't know how tall she was, but
I think she
taller than
is
him.
5'8". I think I'm 5'8". I'm pretty sure she's my height. So,
Okay.
and he's a short little thing, and Cary Grant's tall too. So
Yeah. So there's something about like it almost makes the Claude Rains and Cary Grant look the same height at some point, because they
yeah,
just they have him up.
and then he kind of puff his hair a little bit too. I heard.
To add some height. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, phenomenal. I can watch that one like every other year or something, just because it just doesn't get old for me.
Yeah, that's a great one. Apparently, the producer David O. Selznick wanted Vivian Leigh instead of Ingrid Bergman.
She can be quite intense, so I could see her doing it, but Ingrid Bergman killed it.
Yeah,
She was perfect.
yeah, just a great movie. And then apparently they offered the part of the mother to Ethel Barrymore, and she turned it down.
She would have done really well at that role.
Yeah,
I could see her doing that.
yeah. She's an interesting one too. Let's see what else we got. Anything else about Notorious? Oh, there's the kissing scene. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Because of the code, they couldn't do long kissing scenes, so they kept having to break the kiss.
Yes.
And kind of made it a longer kissing scene then.
It's so fascinating how they worked around that code.
Right? I mean, they had to.
Yeah.
They couldn't have the same stuff anymore. I've started watching some pre-code stuff, and it is interesting, just the language difference and the costuming. Like, they are more scantily clad. Like, there's one where Carol Lombard's running around in her underwear, and it's just funny.
Cary Grant's first role, This Is the Night. There's a whole scene where the leading lady, I can't think of her name, she's French, but she like has this whole striptease where it's like barely like she's dancing behind the screen and around the curtain, and she's just taking things off. Like,
Oh yeah.
code.
There was another, I think it was Carol Lombard and George Raft movie, like way back, and they had this performer in there that did like a fan dance kind of thing too, that would have been too risque for production code. It is just interesting because you think of like production code as wholesome, but you go back further and it's still, you have gigolos, you have scantily clad, you have all that stuff. I was actually surprised. I watched Design by Living recently. Have you seen that one?
I don't think so.
So it's essentially one woman and two guys. They blatantly say that it's going to be this kind of relationship, but there's not going to be any sex. And they use the actual word, and that threw me because I still didn't expect them to use the word,
Right.
even though it was pre-code. But I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that they would just like come out and say stuff like that. It's just so interesting to look at the contrast of things.
Watching like Cary Grant's pre-code versus his code movies and then post-code movies, it's a wild ride. You can just tell, like you can see where the storylines had to shift, where things had to become a lot more subtle. They had to dance around certain issues versus before, where a lot of his films are about a woman who she becomes a fallen woman, and he's usually the culprit in why.
Oh yeah.
And then that stops.
Oh my
with
gosh.
the code.
Right. It is such an interesting part of history. And it is interesting to see just how they had to be creative and could still like convey certain stuff without saying it.
Yeah. I actually kind of loved that about the Code era
Mm-hmm.
because it actually taught them a little bit more of a subtle storytelling than they were used to, because it went from vaudeville to silent
Mm-hmm.
film to the 30s where there was a lot of letting your hair down, and I think some of the storytelling became a little bit in your face as a result of that.
Oh, sure.
So, they were cramming it into an hour as well, and that makes it hard, but I feel like
Yeah.
the Code actually helped them to become more subtle and more nuanced and to show don't tell as
Yeah.
much. And so
Mm-hmm.
in that regard, I'm like, good. The Code taught a lot of the writers and the directors how to do that. So that was kind of cool.
Sure. That is a good point. And if you look at To Catch a Thief, like Grace Kelly is obviously like super into him and comes on to him, but it's never like they can't use like the blatant language, right? But you can tell like she's super into him and is pursuing him too.
Yeah, the chicken scene tells you everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
She's feeding him the fried chicken.
Right. That's true. Oh, and then the cliff. Isn't that like the same cliff that she died? Wasn't that the thing?
Yeah.
Like where
Yeah.
they're filming?
It's so sad. Whenever I watch this film, I'm just like, it hurts my
Look at
heart.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go back there.
Yes, exactly. Just don't.
I know. Because she died relatively young. There's so many people in classic movie era and like weird circumstance stuff too. I mean, she was a little bit older. I don't think that 50 something
She's
maybe.
yeah.
But still just like a sad like that doesn't feel like that old to me anymore. Maybe now that I'm older, I don't know. But 50s don't seem that old now, so
It's still so young. There's so much more life that she could have lived. She had her children. Like it's just a travesty, and that happens a lot. I mean, and it makes sense when you think about the fact that actors and singers and things like that are traveling more. The odds are going to be stacked against them a little bit more.
yeah.
But like, and a road like that, I don't think you could pay me to drive that road.
Right. No.
That was
Um
terrible.
There was so my sister did like a destination wedding and we were in Maui and I forget what the road is now, but it's like this road where you drive up a mountain basically. And if you go one way, your travel like car insurance is still good. If you go the other way, it negates it because it's that dangerous to go that way. So no, I don't think anybody goes that way, but like that was a little bit much and it's very windy, so it kind of made me ill. But but yeah, that's another one of those where you're like, this is like too close to the edge here. I don't like this.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But To Catch a Thief is a great movie. That one's really fun. And he's
That's
all like thief with a heart of gold sort of thing, which is kind of a fun dynamic too.
Yes.
And just the chemistry with Grace Kelly is great too.
That in that role, it's actually one of my favorites of Cary Grant's roles, like his character in that movie. Like just how he handles the combination of the debonair and the comedy, like how he handles it, his expressions, like through his 50s films, he knows his face so well and he knows exactly what expression to give. And
yeah,
like just going back to The Bishop's Wife for a second, there's like where they will show the back of his head when he's giving a character a look and they're like, oh, never mind, I guess we can do it your way, kind of a thing, and you never see what the look is. I can easily picture what the look is because I feel like he mastered that by the 1950s. And you see it in To Catch a Thief and other roles like that, Charade, things like that. But it is.
We can talk about that one too.
Yeah, I love that one as well. Like I think those are some of my favorite of his roles. He really came into his element in that era. He was at his most confident and capable. He and like when I was younger, I liked younger Cary Grant because he was more attractive to me. But as I get older, I'm just like, the Silver Fox is very fun.
Yes, I get that. So segue, which happens. That reminds me, just a few years ago, I finally watched Supernatural. And it was real weird to me at the beginning when they're like 20 and I'm like, oh, they're such babies. It's really strange. Like, where's 40-year-old Jensen Ackles? Let's move this along. Because it is an interesting thing too, as you get older, like you find more like people closer in age or like guys a little bit older instead of like going backwards, like feels real weird because they such baby faces. It's so strange.
I can no longer like way off topic, but like Lord of the Rings, like Legolas is no longer the one that I'm just like, ooh, I'm like, hello Aragorn, because because I feel like I'm robbing the cradle if I'm looking at Legolas that way.
Right. Because they're younger there. Yeah, it's
like
it's wild.
When he did that movie, I'm like, I can't. That's illegal.
I liked you younger. Similar thing, like, so in maybe late 90s, early 2000s, I started watching like Robert Downey Jr. and stuff. So like at first I liked Chances Are because he was like 20. That was closer to my age. Yeah. And then, but now I'm like, oh, Iron Man, and like he looks good now. That's fine. It is a weird thing. Age is funny like that.
It's like now I'm watching more Humphrey Bogart and Claude Rains movies, whereas before when I was younger, I was just like, ooh, no, and now I'm just like, oh, not only are they more attractive to me, even if they're not like my type or whatever, but I appreciate those actors as they aged and they seasoned, and and it's just it's fascinating how that shift happens.
Right. And they just they have more experience, and their acting is just different because they're better at what they're doing, basically.
Exactly. And
for sure.
Cary Grant, 1950s, like he's at his peak as far as I'm concerned. Like I love a lot of his films from the 30s up through the 60s. Like I rewatched That Touch of Mink recently, and I had not liked that when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I found it a little bit too risque for me at that time, but like rewatching it just recently, actually, like about 2 months ago, I was like, okay, you know what? This is a great movie, and he's phenomenal in it, and like does great off of like playing off of Doris Day and she off of him, and like it's fascinating. That's why I'm like revisiting, even though I've seen now every Cary Grant film. I'm revisiting some of the ones that maybe I didn't like once upon a time, or that I loved and I don't like as well now. It's just
Oh, definitely. And I've seen That Touch of Mink, and I remember not liking it either, but it's been years. So maybe I should revisit that one.
I enjoyed it
life
so much
perspective.
More.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
It's such a much more adult theme. But on the other hand, like I've seen Indiscreet twice now, and it's still, even though it was Cary Grant's favorite film, I don't like it. And even though it's Ingrid Bergman, I don't care for it. It's just not my cup of tea. But I can understand.
I actually haven't seen that one. That's one I've been meaning to see and just haven't. There are so many movies. Like we have like 100 years of movies to try to catch up on. It's a lot.
So much. And I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to try to watch somebody's entire filmography like I did Cary Grant. If I get around to it, great. But like, this was my goal.
Right.
I did it.
Yay. It's nice to have goals.
Plus his short film, Singapore Sue, that was weird.
Oh, I don't. Some of them are just weird. That's like, so a couple months ago, I watched The Misfits for the first time just because it was Marilyn's last movie. It was Clark Gable's last movie. Didn't like it. Won't watch it again.
Right. And you just never know. I gotta say though, really, I have to mention this. Probably the strangest Cary Grant role I ever saw was from his 1930s Alice in Wonderland, where he plays the mock turtle. He's literally in it for like 2 minutes, singing a song in the mock turtle outfit with the calf head, and it's like crying. You can't even see him.
Oh, weird.
But he's just singing the song called Beautiful Soup.
Oh my gosh. You're gonna be in that soup.
I'm sure you can just find the clip if you want. It's a thing of nightmares.
Oh, I was curious about that. I was super into, there's this made for TV Alice in Wonderland from 1985 that I love. And Ringo Starr plays that role, so he sings. But I was curious because of how much I liked that Alice in Wonderland, but I hadn't seen that either, but it sounds not as good.
I mean, it's an all-star cast from the 30s. It's got Gary Cooper. It's got like a bunch of them. It's so many, and it was fascinating. I mean, the practical effects were interesting, but I can't say I liked it.
Right. The one from the 80s I was obsessed with. And that one is interesting because, again, like all-star cast, you have, oh my gosh, Red Buttons is in it, and Carol Channing, and Sammy Davis Jr., and like Sid Caesar, and Donald O'Connor is in it for a hot minute. Like, I didn't realize how significant everybody was when I was little, but then as I got into classic movies, I'm like, wow, look at all these people.
It's so fascinating. It's like the first time I ever watched Monkey Business. I didn't really like it because it was a long time ago the first time, and I was just like, I didn't even recognize Ginger Rogers. Like it didn't mean that much, you know. And then rewatching it again years later, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Ginger Rogers. No wonder she can keep up with Cary Grant.
Yeah,
so agile, you know.
Right?
It's just amazing how that switch flips and suddenly you recognize what you didn't before, and you have a new appreciation for the actors and actresses and things like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. I know. For the longest time now, like whenever I see something new, I immediately go to IMDb and read all the trivia. Like, oh, who's this and who's this other thing? What happened behind the scenes and all this stuff. It's so fun.
It is.
Yeah. Wasn't on our list, but North by Northwest is also a stellar Cary Grant movie.
Yes. All the things,
and James Mason is great in it too. I love James Mason.
He's phenomenal.
I think he's great. Yeah. Elements of, you know, like comedy in there too. Eva Marie Saint, who is still around, which is really impressive. Their whole scene in the train, like they're just sexy. Like
oh yeah.
They're great. And it's just a really well done story and plot line too. Like that one is just interesting to watch. Because again, that's another one, like the first time you watch it, you're like, I don't know what's happening. Why is this all happening? You know? And then
I love how much Hitchcock ended up loving working with Cary Grant. Like he became his favorite like leading man to work with. And you can see why. Like, Cary Grant really elevated those roles. I think they were designed for him. I mean, for heaven's sake, he's the blueprint for James Bond.
Yeah.
They tried to get him to be James Bond, and he said no. And, like, I'm just like, yeah, because he could do that combination of ladies' man, but also bring in the humanizing factor.
Yeah.
Better than pretty much any actor to this day, as far as I'm concerned, but I might be a little biased.
Right. And he looked good in a suit. That probably would have worked pretty well if they had him do that. Wouldn't have been great for Sean Connery, but because it's kind of like where he got catapulted up into stardom from being James Bond. But that would have been cool to see, because he would have fit that persona really well, because that was already his persona, really.
By that point, like, and I think it would have been fascinating, but I am happy for Sean Connery because we got a gem out of that too.
Right. I know I had mentioned Darby O'Gill, but I love him in that too. He's so young too. And he's just, I don't know. I love that movie. That's my St. Patrick's Day go-to because they're leprechauns. So
same.
I just love that movie. All right. So North by Northwest. Oh, Charade. Charade is also very well done. It kind of has elements of Hitchcock, but isn't Hitchcock. So, like, there's the mystery and the danger and that whole thing. Though I think my favorite scene is when he's in the shower with his clothes on, because that's hilarious. That's really funny. And just her pursuit of him and how cute she is about it still. And
she is such a darling. I love Audrey Hepburn so much. She's one of my favorites. She's another one of those that could be so charming and so debonair, but also very human. Like very warm and approachable. And I think that's just kind of my favorite type. And they were so good together as a result of that. I just can't imagine that film having any other two stars in that film together.
Right. Their chemistry is just great. And the switch to making her the pursuer is brilliant.
Yes. Yes, I agree. That one is delightful. And that is one that I grew up on and didn't really think about the fact that that was Cary Grant. Like, I
Oh,
just
sure.
didn't, I just didn't care who stars were.
Yeah.
And, but I really enjoyed that movie. It was in color, so I could watch it as a little girl, I wasn't bored.
Right.
And it's one I've watched. I can't even count how many times I've seen that film. And then I made the connection as a teenager, oh, wait a second, Cary Grant is in Charade. I was like, okay, he's cool. And I was like, but he's so old, because I'm a teenager. But now I'm like, oh yeah, he aged like fine wine.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say he's still like super attractive. Like he aged very well.
He did. Even in his very final years in the 80s, like he looked fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Good genes.
Yes. And he stayed fit, I mean, he did smoke a ton, but he ended up quitting before he passed away. But
They all smoked.
actually, yeah,
like
he
all
did.
of them.
They did. He was a very heavy smoker, but he tried to quit for years, and then his fifth wife helped him finally quit. So,
Oh, okay.
and I'm just happy for him in that regard because he wanted to, and he managed before the end. So
Yeah.
him.
That reminds me about it too, because Dick Van Dyke just turned 100, so he had a period of smoking and alcohol and stuff like that and quit, and now he's like, it's so impressive to me with him that he can still like move around. Like, it's crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. But those people who, stay mobile tend to have an easier time, like Cary Grant, he stayed mobile. He was doing, like we said, somersaults and monkey business.
Yeah.
Still just in his later films, just doing a lot of physical comedy.
Right. So yeah, he is also one of my favorites. Is there anything else or any other fun Cary Grant tidbits you would like to share that maybe we didn't talk about?
Gosh, there could be so many. I have not confirmed this, but I did recently stumble on a thing where there is a prominent theory, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, and I haven't been able to find the source of this rumor yet, but I would love this to be true. But it's actually supposed to be talked about in this book, which I haven't finished reading yet. It's it's one of his biographies by Graham McCann, and it's considered one of the least biased of his biographies, where he's just mostly on facts. So I'm curious to get there. But there is a rumor apparently that he was a British intelligence agent, Cary Grant was, during World War II. And that is not something I'd ever heard before. So I really want to dig into that and see if there's actually any credence there or not. But that is pretty cool to me. Either way, it's a fun rumor.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. And too, that there's stuff that we're still learning, because a lot of the times, as we mentioned, like publicists and like they kept private lives more private, and then now like everybody just wants to know everything. So like more stuff comes out. There's still controversy about him and Randolph Scott too. So because they lived together for years.
12 years, I think.
Well, like they lived together, and then like one or the other would get married, and then they would get divorced, and then they'd live together again. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it could be they were just trying to make it in Hollywood, or it could be there was something else there. But I don't care either way, really. But,
I know, that it was their private business, whether they just were really, really good friends or if there was something else. I like the fact that neither of them came out and said anything about it is enough for me to just go, I respect their privacy. Whatever their relationship was, they cared about each other, and that's cool to me.
Yeah.
Like I think the people who try to force something to have happened there are not respecting their private wishes. So that's just always been my feeling on it. So I don't know. Like, I gotta say, probably my least favorite film he ever did was possibly, I'm actually torn between two. One of them is Sylvia Scarlett, which is his first Katharine Hepburn movie. And that movie was just a mess. And I
actually haven't seen that one either.
You know what? if you want to watch a mess of a narration that goes absolutely nowhere, you're welcome to, but I feel like it was a waste of my time if I hadn't been wanting to finish my list. It was the second to last film I had not seen with Cary Grant. So I forced myself through it. But it was barely worth it.
If you want to see him and Katharine Hepburn go Bringing Up Baby, a Philadelphia Story, Holiday's okay. It's not as good as the other two.
I'm okay with Holiday.
Yeah.
It's not one of the more dynamic of theirs, but like those other three are worth watching at least once. I can't say that about Sylvia Scarlett. Like it was just narratively a mess. And as we're both writers, you will be in as much pain and agony as I was. The other one was Howards of Virginia. Like it's based on a book called The Tree of Liberty. I have the book on my shelf. I wanted to like the movie. It's kind of Revolutionary War era. There's even a side character that plays Thomas Jefferson and all that. And I love early American history. So I was really excited about that film. But it was probably the worst miscasting of Cary Grant I've seen ever.
Oh. Yeah.
He does not make a good buckskin wearing mountain man. It was painful.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like that makes sense.
No, and I own that one because it was the only way to watch it was to buy the DVD. You can't rent it, or couldn't at the time. And so I watched it, and I've never watched it again because it was such a painful experience. So those are probably
we'll just put that on the shelf and it can stay there.
I can say I've seen it. I have it for my collection, but that's it. That's where it ends.
Right. So I haven't seen either of those, but for me, I think, and I feel like The Pride and the Passion often gets like a bad reputation, and it is not good, but it could be worse, I guess.
It absolutely could. Like, you at least have 3 competent actors who are bringing something to the table and elevating what is kind of a very slogging paced movie that doesn't have a lot going on. Whereas with like Howards of Virginia, on paper it should have been good, but he was badly cast. And then Sylvia Scarlett, that one was just a mess. I don't even like it was based on a series of novels and how they try to mash it together.
Oh,
not
didn't work.
No. So those are probably my least favorite. And then I just want to also tip my hat, though, because on the other hand, one of my favorite, very little known films of Cary Grant is called Crisis. And he plays a doctor in that one. And I really, really loved his role in that movie. It's got its flaws. It's got a few pacing issues and things like that. But it's one of my favorite of his lesser known films. So I highly recommend that one.
Okay. So. Yeah, I haven't even heard of that one. Again, there's 72, you said? That's a lot.
There's so many. But yeah, that's my feeling on it. And I have my tastes versus other people, but that's how I feel.
And you've seen them all, so you can talk about it. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I think with that, I will close because I think we talked about a lot. And
we did.
We did. There's so much. When it's multiple movies, it's hard to...
It's
a lot.
You could do an entire series just on his films, you know what I mean? Like, maybe one of these days I'll do something with that. But thank you so much for having me on. I loved this opportunity.
Yay.
This has been fantastic.
Well, maybe we can do a part 2, and then I'll see some of the ones I haven't seen, and then we can talk about those.
Yeah,
or we can talk about Audrey Hepburn or something, too.
Yes. Bing Crosby, like, whatever.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much, Kristen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.